G'day to you all, and this is not a video game. This is a draw with me, art with Liam, not sure what to call it just yet, but yeah, this is me going through the process of how I make my thumbnails. The reason I wanted to do this was just to start getting some art content up onto the channel, so I can figure out how I want to format it. I did record all of this and did audio for it, but I'm just speeding it up, doing the audio again as I go through my process. So what I've done is I've started by setting up thumbnails for the thumbnails and planning out how I want to do it. I go through discussing how I was planning out other previous thumbnails, setting out the number and stuff like that. I do go into a little bit of depth on how I like to set up my numbers so that it can be a bit better seen. So from here, I'll just be setting up the thumbnails to figure out the scene that I want to set up. Part of setting up the scene is the theme that I like to put into the thumbnails. This one is Don't Trust Trains, as I've written there. But I'll mainly be going through how I've got the theme, and from that theme I set up a location. The location that I've set up is a screenshot, the screenshot here, of the train from the Murder of Sonic. Dropping that in, and I go on to discuss how I want that train to be the center theme of the thumbnail, and from there I sort of build up the rest of the elements. That would be characters from the game, the avatar, the animator king, and the number for the episode. And then setting out that sort of stuff, I've got like the circle with the eyes is the characters from the game, the circle with the crown looking thing is the animator king, and the normal circle is the number. I go on to sort of try out different locations for each of those. So sometimes with the characters behind the train, sometimes with Animator King behind the train. I go on to discuss briefly that I don't want things to be in front of that train, which is why we do set it up, and figure out the emotions that we want for the characters. Like, do we want them to be angry? Do we want them to be surprised? It looks as though I'm settling on making them sort of angry and surprised, and settling on having the number in the top left or bottom right. And then from there we just get right into making. So the reason that we have the grey box, which is what I'm going through explaining now, is just so we have a bit of a room to bleed border for the thumbnail, and just lets everything be seen better. And the grey box lets us have that anchor point, that sort of canvas. So as we build up platforms and backdrops like this, we'd be able to select the grey box and just delete everything around it, just to make sure it fits the same each and every time. And because we're focusing on the train being the main feature, we want to make sure that that's the one that's more centered as we end up doing that. So from here, we're going to be setting up the number first, putting that into an image. And one of the things that I do, which actually what I'm explaining here, is how we were discussing the top left and bottom right before, and it's about seeing where it looks better once you've gotten to the stage. What I'm doing here is giving it a highlight and a shadow. So depending on whether or not there are clashing colors, dark colors, light colors, that number can still be seen fairly well. So what I'm doing from here is I'm dragging in other elements from, because there's sprites that are available online from the game. I'm dragging in Sonic and Tails because I found a good one of them, both looking sort of, thinking about stuff, looking concerned, confused, whatnot. And I go on to discuss, placement of elements such as these. I really wanted Tails to be looking at the train, so it was important for him to be on the right side because of that. And then, going on about how it's just about doing small little edits and fidgets as I figure out how to best place them, who to have in front, stuff like that. And I'd gone into talking about how Sonic appears against the backdrop, how Tails appears with the backdrop, and then giving them their highlights so that they can stand out just that little bit more. And from here, just adding them all in and going through making sure that you're selecting all the right layers. Otherwise that happens where one part moves, the other doesn't, and then just using that anchor point to delete what's not needed once again. From here we go on to discussing how we're going to have the Animated King avatar behind the train and just mapping that out with the masking tool, Marquee tool. I honestly forget what it's called each time. I'll have to look into that. But essentially we're just adding in a white backdrop so we can start sketching it out. We go through discussing basic forms of like characters and figure out how you want them to come out. I already have a pretty good idea of how to do this one where I'm saying like I want them to be sort of angry with that upside down face, and from here it's just plotting out where to put them in, getting the face shape on style and getting that set up. Then I go on to talk about how the character, the Animator King, it's not based on me being egotistical. It's based on when I was setting up the channel and naming it to have a name for it. I was watching One Piece at the time. I'm like, I like the sound of the Pirate King, and although I'm not a pirate, I am a certified and trained animator, so I'll just, smush them together, and a bit like in The Simpsons with Mr. Sparkle and Homer having a coincidence there, I ended up with the Animator King. It's just a name like anyone else would have on YouTube, and it's just something that I put into this character. And I go on to then get distracted and talk about, making sure the form of the character is on brand for what you've been setting up, making sure to keep an eye out for, how the body should be, setting up in dynamic poses, and not being afraid to erase and redo things as you need to, because the eyes need to be fixed up so they could look a bit more, in the direction of the train. And then we go on to set up the crown, in which case I get distracted once again. Definitely can't tell I have ADHD. And I go on to discuss how the crown is based on, in the early days of animation, before we had film strips and all that kind of stuff, it would be set up where there'd be the cylinders where you'd look through a little slit, and there would be these sort of pictures like a running horse that would be going through, and when you spin it you would see that running horse, and that's what that's based on. I then go on to make sure that we have enough of this white space as we get into setting up for lining and colouring, and I go on to discuss theming and staying on brand and stuff. So I'm essentially repeating what we would have gone through at the start. But as this one goes through the summary of what we've set up, which is we've set up the number, we've set up the characters, we've set up the background, we've made sure that they're in place to keep with the theming of Don't Trust the Train, and we've drawn in the character that links to us and lets people know that this is a Animator King video. So if you want to watch more of that, if it's something that might stand out differently from some other videos, this is the way to be able to tell, because a lot of videos are just the same thing. I then go on to start lining and colouring and discuss how in the sub view I've got the thumbnail from a previous video so that I can use the same colours without having to keep an extensive list of colours and whatnot, clogging things up, because it's easier just to take from what you've already done. And I go right into it. I'm then pretty much just doing line work for a fair while. I'm pretty sure I do touch on it a bit later, but it's important to not get too caught up in mistakes that happen. Otherwise, while you're zoomed in like this, you'll just be on the same problem for a while. As I'm doing here, it's good to flip, zoom out every now and then. Otherwise, as I'm discussing here, you'd have this really great eye that looks good, and then you go to the other eye and it just comes out looking like garbage. Just not being afraid to take your time and plan things out, adjust if you need to, because although the sketch is important, it's not the be-all and end-all, because as you're continuing to do the work, it is okay to keep making adjustments. And on top of having the sketch layer, it's important to, as I was going through here discussing, make use of having layers and being able to do the head and the hair on one layer and the crown on the other, so that way it looks coherent when the hair is showing through those little slits in the crown, so that way you don't have to try and plan around it and just put it all into one layer. because luckily we're not doing a canvas painting, we're doing digital art. Yeah, and then just going on through there, doing a lot more discussing about lines, layers, using the program, which if you guys want me to do a longer form, a non-sped up version, I can do this with another thumbnail or a piece of animation or even like an art piece. Let me know. Subscribe, comment, like, give me your thoughts on this so that I can do more of what you guys are wanting to see with this kind of content, because I can go over a lot of do's and don'ts, what I've learnt, what I'm still learning, or even just if you enjoy just having a chill sit down session. And yeah, because I know here we go. Yeah, I'll return to that thought in a second. So yeah, this is me going in depth with like focusing on these pixels and making sure that the individual pixel is correct. You won't see the bigger picture, which is why it's important to have like the navigator tool, or making sure to zoom out a lot more, because you've got to be able to see the big picture. But it's not bad as an artist to want to fix up these mistakes. So if it's like, oh, I'll know that that's wrong, you can go and do that, but don't get too caught up in that all the time. Otherwise, you'll just never get the piece done. And that's the summarized version of what would have taken me 10 minutes to say before. But yeah, continuing with what I was saying, if you guys want to see, different types of this content as I get a feel for what I want to do with it, feel free. In fact, I encourage you to comment. Let's, create a dialogue, because I'm not sure what I want to do with this yet. So while I'm not sure, I'm, open to ideas as I try different things. Because it's not just for me. I'm making a community for a reason. I want it to be a place where people can just come and chill and hang out. That's my main goal. We got a lot of people who are exciting, who are like veterans in the field. You've got people like Ethan Becker, Mark Burnett. We've got more YouTube celebrities like Robert Ross or Sam Does Art. We've got all these variety of people, but one thing that I want to try and bring to this landscape, this online landscape, is that feeling that you'd get when you're just chilling at a friend's house or doing a late night uni project. Because I definitely knew when I was going through and getting my degrees for this, just being able to have like a session where everyone's just, got music on, got something binging on Netflix, and everyone's just working on their project. It just felt nice to know that, while I'm working on something, we've got this other person there that's, also working on their own thing, taking a break to look at each other's work and just chilling and getting through all the work that we can. So I want to try and create that kind of space for us all. I'm pretty much now going on to, just coloring, talking about how it is important to get your line work correct, but if you're getting little artifacts like with the back of the coat there, with the corners of the hair, it's okay to not be getting that, correct. We're just finishing up, doing up some cleaning up artwork, putting in those last little triangles, going boop, boop, boop. And that's pretty much the finished thing. It's fairly simple, fairly easy, and if you do want to see more of this, let me know. Otherwise, until next time, I hope you have a great rest of the day, drink plenty of water, and talk to you later. Bye.